Hi, welcome to the Paige Doodle Club. I'm Mike Paige. Today we will be drawing a pelican in honor of my grandfather. So grab your drawing supplies, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and let's get right to it. For the pelican, we're going to start pretty much at the center of the paper going across. I'm slightly more to the left of center, but right about in the middle. And I'm going to make a line coming down like that, just a straight diagonal line. I said to make a straight line, and mine's not quite straight. That happens. At the very end, I'm going to hook it down like this, just a little bit, nothing major. From this, I'm going to come all the way back up to where we just were, running parallel to that first line. And when I get to the top, I'm bending back slightly. And next right here, right up by that hook, going to come down a little bit and then run parallel again. And then cut up like that. So if you're coloring this in, this part of the beak that we just did will be orange or brown. And this next part would be black or a very dark brown. Let's say more of a black. So this is the part of the pelican that really makes a pelican a pelican. This is the pouch in its beak that's going to spread open when it's catching fish. Now I'm going to come back up to right where we first started, and I'm going to make a slight line up, and I'm going to come back pretty much running parallel to this first line. So we want all of this to be happening at about the same angle. And then I'm going to come back like that. Now that I have that, I'm going to come to the expanding part of the pouch here, and I'm going to kick my pen out like that. And it shouldn't go as far back as the first line that we made, but it should be, if the eye will be about here. That's just going to be a circle, and this part is going to come a little bit beyond that. If you didn't make the eye, go ahead and make that, since I just placed one there. And then inside of that circle, make another small circle for the pupil. Next, I'm going to come back to that first point where we started everything, and I'm going to make a line that comes just above this eye. And then we're going to cut back down like this. And all of this part is dark, so if you're coloring this in, this would be black or a very dark gray. Next, I'm going to make kind of a, starting here, this is going to become a C shape. So I'm going to come out to about here, and we're going to make a letter C. So that's going to be its neck, and it's almost getting to its chest here. And then inside of this letter C, I'll put a mark there first. From here, I'm going to come out and connect towards the back of the head, and I'm not going to bring it all the way to that point yet, because we're going to make a few ruffled feathers back here. Like that, and then we can connect. Next, I'm going to follow this line right here, stay on it, and then branch off of it. But I like to retrace this line so that I know I'm coming at the right angle when I come off of it. And this is going to be the pelican's back. And I think I'll start the wing next so that I know exactly how long I want the body. So that will be sort of the armpit of the wing. We're going to come out like this and then cut back the other direction like that. So I love pelicans because they're such goofy birds, but they are also probably the most graceful birds when they're flying, even though they look ridiculous the rest of the time. They'll catch the current and just glide above the water, and it's really amazing to watch. Next, I'm going to make a feather coming down like this, and it's actually going to curve at the end like that. And then we'll come back and connect right to it. Next, I'm going to make another curving feather. This one doesn't hook up. That one's just going to do that. So as they're flying, gliding right above the water, they're constantly adjusting their feathers so that they're maximizing their efficiency. And sometimes you'll see them gliding above the water, like inches above the water for several hundred yards before they have to flap their wings again. It's really cool. My grandfather says they're probably the most efficient flyers in the world. And since he was an engineer working on planes, I take his word for it because he knows a lot about that. So I'm going to imply the line of the back of the wings. There will be separate feathers there later, but for now, I'm just going to make that line. And these will be separate feathers as well. So these are all flight feathers here. Pretty broad feathers. If you want to put the lines at the middle of the feather, you can. Next, there's actually another row of feathers, and these will just kind of quickly imply. You don't have to draw separate feathers for all of this. Like that. Those are all basically backwards C's or sideways U's, however you want to think of them. Kind of somewhere in between a U and a letter V. Now that we have all that, we can start coming back like this. Same thing, a letter U or close to a letter V, except since these are going to be stacked coming this way, let's instead call it a backwards letter J, or sideways letter J, that's backwards, because they're going to be overlapping each other as we come back like this. And again, if you have this light line here, you'll be able to know exactly when to stop your feather and hook back. So you should have something kind of like that. And I might make a few more sort of ruffled feathers coming over that front edge of the wing right there. And I'm also going to make some lines right here. This is where the neck would start to transition from this part being white, maybe a little yellow up here, but this part would be white, and then it changes to a light brown color. And now we hook up pretty sharply. And then this is just going to come straight back like this and taper almost to a point, like that. And if you're putting a horizon line on this, I'm making my Pelican gliding just above the water. That's my favorite way to observe pelicans. So I'm not going to want a horizon line way beneath the Pelican. I'm going to want mine, actually, I'll make some kind of ripples along the water here. But his wingtips would just about be touching the water, and I'm actually going to make my horizon line way up at the top of my paper to show that he's actually very low. So when I would go visit my grandparents in Florida, one of my favorite things has always been watching the pelicans down there. They're really amazing flyers, and I've always loved that my grandfather loves them even more than I do. And he always tells me really cool stuff about things that he's seen pelicans do, and he always points out how well adapted they are to gliding. So I've always had a soft spot for pelicans. The most graceful, goofy creature on the planet, probably. I'm just going to fill in some light feather marks back here. Here is our finished pelican. I hope you had a good time following along. Hope you didn't make too many mistakes, and maybe you even learned one or two fun things about pelicans along the way. Don't forget to tune in for another episode of the Mike Paige Doodle Club. Thanks for watching.
All right, kids, now that you've finished your doodles, color them in and then share them with both Mike Paige and Medfield TV. We're going to take those images and we're going to put them all over our station. Can't wait to see what you guys make.